You know, there's this weird paradox that trips up almost everyone on the path to success. It's this. We all want to win, right? But we often hate the very process that actually guarantees the win. So today, we're going to unpack that. We're going to figure out why we do this, and more importantly, how to get over it.
I mean, does this sound familiar at all? You've got this huge goal, you're totally fired up about the outcome, but then you look at the actual day-to-day grind it takes to get there and, you just can't stand it. It's this internal battle that can literally stop even the most ambitious of us dead in our tracks.
Okay, here's a perfect little story to illustrate this. There's this young kid, right? And he is completely obsessed with football. I mean, he dreams about it, he talks about it nonstop, he wants to be a pro. But when his dad asks him about it, he admits there's just one tiny problem. He absolutely hates to train. See? That's the dilemma in a nutshell.
All right, so how do we solve this thing? Here's the roadmap for today. We're going to start with the football player's dilemma, then we'll dig up an ancient rule for growth. After that, we'll talk about why getting corrected stings so much, I'll show you a shortcut to speed things up 10x, and we'll wrap up with a super practical strategy, building your own personal board.
And look, this isn't just about a kid playing sports, right? This football player's problem, it's a fundamental human thing. We say we love something, but then we hate the actual process that makes it possible. And that hate, it basically cancels out the love. It's like one step forward, one step back.
And you see this contradiction pop up everywhere. You can't say you love being healthy if you hate eating healthy food. You can't say you love having a great relationship if you hate having those tough, necessary conversations. And this is the big one for us today. You cannot truly love gaining knowledge if you hate the one thing that sharpens it, being corrected.
So this all leads us to a really timeless principle. I mean, this idea that you have to embrace the messy parts, it's not new. It's actually an ancient rule for growth, and it creates this direct link between our ability to learn and our willingness to be told we're wrong.
Now check out this ancient proverb. It's super direct. It says, "Whoever loves instruction loves knowledge, but he who hates correction is stupid." Okay, well, let's unpack that word stupid. It's not meant as a personal insult like calling someone dumb. It's describing an action. It means you're being self-defeating. You're literally blocking your own path to the very knowledge you say you want.
I mean, this just lays the whole contradiction out, plain and simple. On one hand, you're saying, I want to get better. But on the other hand, you're rejecting the exact feedback that tells you how to get better. You just can't have it both ways. It's like trying to drive a car with the emergency brake on. Hating correction makes your love for knowledge totally useless. Okay, so if the logic is crystal clear, why is this so hard for us? Why do we do this? Well, it's pretty simple, because we're human. The roadblock here isn't in our heads, it's in our hearts. It's emotional. There's a deep-seated, gut-level reason we instinctively pull back from criticism. The key word here is reprehension. And that's just a fancy way of saying correction, or, being called out on a mistake. And for most of us, that moment, no matter how helpful it's supposed to be, it just immediately triggers this flood of negative emotions. So why do we resist it so much? Well, it really boils down to a few things. First, it's a direct challenge to our ego, right? Our pride flares up. It creates this internal static, this mental confusion where the way we see ourselves clashes with what we're being told. And at the end of the day, our emotions just feel like they're under attack, even if the feedback is totally constructive and meant to help. Here's a perfect real-world example. A mentor was giving some direct, critical feedback to his mentee. The kind of feedback the guy was paying to get. But the correction just stung so much that he quit. He just walked away from the whole program. His emotions completely overrode his desire to learn and get better. Okay, so we've laid out the problem, we know why it's so tough, but what if I told you that the very thing we're so afraid of is actually the ultimate shortcut to getting what we want? Let's try to reframe this. Let's stop seeing correction as an attack and start seeing it as an accelerator. No, seriously, the idea here is that by actively leaning into feedback instead of running away from it, you can speed up your growth by a factor of 10. 10 times! That is the difference between taking the long, winding, scenic route and strapping yourself to a rocket. Let me put it to you this way. You've got two paths to wisdom. Path A, you spend 40 years learning everything the hard way, through trial and error. It's slow, it's painful. Or path B, you get that same level of wisdom in just 5 years simply by listening to feedback from people who've already made the mistakes for you. The difference is, it's just massive. So here's the bottom line.
Reprehension, or correction, does two amazing things for you. First, it protects you. It keeps you from making the same costly mistakes over and over. And second, it accelerates you. It pushes you forward faster, so it's like a shield and an engine all in one.
All right, this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually do it? Let's get super practical now and talk about a real strategy you can use to start inviting this kind of feedback into your own life, systematically.
I want you to think about this for a second. The most successful businesses on the planet, they would never bet the farm on one person's ideas or gut feelings. No way. They build a board of directors, they hire expensive consultants. Why? To get critical feedback. We should be treating our own personal growth with that same level of seriousness.
So how do you build your own personal advisory board? It's basically 4 steps. Step 1, find a few people you really, truly trust. And I don't mean people who just tell you what you want to hear, I mean people who will be honest. Step 2, and this is absolutely the most important part, you have to give them permission. You have to literally authorize them to be direct with you. You have to say the words, hey, I need you to tell me the truth even when it's tough. Step 3, when they take you up on that offer, your only job is to shut up and listen. No defending, no excuses, just listen to understand. And finally, step 4, act on it. Show them you actually value their input by putting it into practice.
And that brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. It's a question, and I really want you to think about it. Right now, today, in your life, who has permission to tell you you're wrong? I mean, really has permission. Because if the honest answer to that question is nobody, then your growth has a ceiling on it. The fastest way to get where you want to go, it starts with having the courage to give someone that permission.